Most people overcomplicate lighting and it kills their scene. Look at this. This feels detailed, cinematic, maybe even expensive to render, but it's actually not. There is no crazy setup here. It's just a few lights placed very intentionally. And that's the part I don't see people talk about enough. The why behind placement and why the light hits here, why the colors are pushed this way, why it feels like this instead of flat. This is more of a stylized lighting approach, but the same idea works even if you're going for something more realistic. And on top of that, a bit of compositing is doing a lot of the final work. So in this video, I'm not going to waste your time with modeling or texturing. I'm just going to break down the lighting and compositing so you can get the same result without overthinking your scene. And the project file for this scene here is going to be available on Patreon. Just click in the link in the description. And thanks to all the Patreon members for making this possible. Thank you so much. So here, first of all, actually, this is a 3D scene. I'm going to move on to the solid viewport. And actually, I'm going to show you later where I place the light and what they do. But first of all, we need to take a look at one of the references that I found. And based on it, I did my lighting because that's really important. Without any references, especially if you are a beginner, it's going to be hard. Without references, it is really hard to do something. And people actually going to be like locked into the tutorial phase. Like they're looking tutorials, and they don't make something for themselves. Like go to Pinterest, look for drawings, like a simple drawing, because I do anime style environments, stuff like this, stylized stuff. I look for drawings like these drawings based on an anime scene, anime movie, show, something like this. I take inspiration. So do the same that I do. If you want to go to my Pinterest, there is some pinned boards. I'm going to leave it in the description if you, or on my Discord. There is a Discord community where we can talk and give feedback, stuff like this. If you want to get inspired, because I share a lot of behind the scenes, talk a lot. Okay, if someone talk, I can talk a lot because yeah, I love my community and I love all of my subscribers. So, anyways, I found this by Yoshida-san. Arigatou gozaimasu, Yoshida-san, for providing this image. It is really kind of you to provide this. I will find the link and also provide it. Okay. And by the way, this is going to be on courses on Patreon and also on YouTube later. So you will find the downloadable stuff just in the description. So there is no links. I believe YouTube gives the option to upload to Google Drive, so it's going to be amazing. I don't know if it's working or not, but just make sure to go to the description and see and read a little bit. Okay, thank you so much. Anyways, I already did the research, marked everything down so you can understand what's going on. So right in here, we don't actually care about the models and stuff. I'm going to actually explain it later how I did the models, how we did stuff, because that's really something that is important, but not as important as lighting, because lighting, what actually make up the scene. Lighting is actually like a drawing, like you're drawing something, but with lights. Lights make your scene, can transfer from a dark mood, like a sad mood, into something happy, just with colors and brightness. So that's what the Yoshida-san actually did here. Actually, made the very bright sun, not sun, yeah, it could be sun, something like this. This very bright light actually brighten up this area. Why? Because Yoshida-san have these books very detailed. So these books has some samples, have some stuff. But if you see in the background, some books, they are not books at all. They are just lines. So he's caring about this part much than these parts here. So want to draw the viewer's eyes toward this area. So the first thing that you see, if you see this image, you'll care about this area. If I can turn off the annotations, I will show you. So this is without annotations, so you can see. So the first thing that you see is this area because it's bright, it is warm. Also, so there is a combination of brightness and colors. So brightness and colors plays a big role in attracting a human's eyes, because human actually kind of get comfortable when looking at a bright source of light, but in the same time it is warm. Warm colors kind of give you a really comfortable feeling. So that's what Yoshida-san did. So let's go back and enable the annotations, because this is the first light. Okay, bright, warm. So mark down this. So we have the first light, and after that we have bounce light. If you ever watched my other video about lighting, bounce lighting is the second light. In stylized lighting, stylized scenes, we create that just to create sense of depth in the shadow areas. And here I did it in a really different way. I did it very soft. Okay, very soft. Okay, so look at that. So Yoshida-san make it really soft, so it is gradually disappearing. So it is brighter in here, and it is getting darker and darker. So if you see the value in here, so the value is changing. So in here it is like 0.6, something like this. It is actually dealing with the colors of the books, but don't care. Let's go here. So the value is zero 0.5 and gradually moving. So it is decreasing and decreasing, decreasing. So look at that. So we need to create or replicate the same idea. So we need another light, which is the second light. Okay. After that, we move on to the other big area, because now we first see this area where the books are detailed, but sometimes our eyes actually go and explore the image. So we need something else to actually adds up to the scene. So Yoshida-san created another light, which is a cool light, cold color, using colder colors. Even it is toward white, but it's not really white. It is cyan blue, something like this. And as you can see, hue here is zero 0.4, and the saturation is something lower, 0.0644. So it is really low, and it is creating that like atmospheric fog. There is kind of fog-ish, I don't know, and there is bloom as well, but we're going to talk about that later in the compositing part. But for now, we need to care about lighting. So as you can see here, the light hits hard right in here and creates some highlights in these areas and the books, as you can see. So there is more highlights here in the wood itself, the wood beam, stuff like this. So that's the third light. Okay, Control Z so we can go back. So this is the third light. It is creating that highlight. But as you can see, that's not all about lighting. There is the fourth light. Okay, the fourth light is actually the world lighting. Yeah, you can see it is gray and flat lighting. It is actually illuminating the really dark areas, just illuminating them a little bit, okay? And it is adding up to the scene. And I believe that there is fifth light, and the fifth light is an overall soft light that is going around in here, okay? I don't know, but I think that is the case. So I did that in the 3D render. So right now that we know the lighting that we need to do, so we need to apply into the 3D scene. So first, let's go and see our lighting. So if you just enable the overlays, I believe in the blend file they are disabled, just click here. So it is enabling or disabling the overlays, okay? If I isolate the lights, okay, select them and press slash in my numpad. So these are the lights, so remember them. So this is the first light, and the shape of that light is intentional. So it is going to create, so if the light is looking like this, the the light that's going to hit the objects is going to be the same shape as the light source. So it's going to be the same shape. So it is rectangular. So make sure to keep that in mind. So the scaling here, you can scale the lights basically. You can scale it, select it, scale it on X, for example, scale on the Z, and that will create kind of a different shape. And as well, if you go to the light properties, you can change the shape from square, rectangle. It doesn't matter because we already have rectangle, but you can create discs. So you can see it is like disc. You can just do it like this. So it is like circle, and there is ellipse. Okay, it is similar to disc, so it doesn't matter. So you have the X and Y, so you can play with the man. But for now, we did that with scaling. So I just scaled it because light doesn't care about applying scale, something like this. So don't worry about applying scale because there is no scale. There is only the object scale itself. So anyways, now I'm going to show you the other light. So the other light, it is in the same place and it is duplicated, and we're going to see why is that. And the third light is the light that is illuminating that area that we said here. So it's going to illuminate the area. It is the same kind of area light, but it is thinner a little bit. It is intentional because I want it to cover a little bit of an area, not too much. And the other light, it is duplicated light, the same as this one, the same as this top light, but it is in the side. We were going to see that as well later. And there is a spotlight, and it is illuminating in this angle. So right now, let's see their effect because we want to understand how they work. So now I'm going to switch to the rendered viewport and let's go. Right now, as you can see, all the lights are turned off, but still there is flat lighting. And if you remember, we talked about world lighting. So let's go to the world properties. It is like a planet. Just click on it. This is the world lighting. So in here, by default, the color is going to be white and the strength is going to be 1. So actually, I just played with the color. And if you play with the color, it is actually playing with the value. And the value affects the brightness. So think of it, value is similar to the strength. And if I make the value higher, so if I make the value higher, look, the brightness of the world lighting is brighter. Okay, it gets brighter. Even that you can go above 1, you can type in 5. Look at that, it is even more brighter. You can do that, but Blender developers made it easier by just playing with the strength. So it is similar to value. Both of them are the same. So Ctrl Z to go back to my settings. I did it to be flat as the image, not really bright. In the image it is brighter, but in here I want it just to fill up these black areas or really dark areas and adds up to the scene, okay? Into the atmosphere of the scene. So because I have volumetrics, volumetrics actually get affected with lights. So the world lighting is going to affect the volumetrics, and the volumetrics will make the scene even brighter. So you're going to see that later when I'm going to enable each light, and we're going to see what they are doing. So yeah, let's go to the first light and enable it. And this is our main light. And by the way, I'm just going to disable the compositor from the rendered viewport because right now we don't care about compositing. We're going to see that later, and we're going to kind of change the mood of the scene. So right now this is without any compositing. There is no color grading. There is nothing. And also the view transform here is set to standard because we want to see pure colors, pure color gamut. So yeah, as you can see here, this is the first light, and it is the brightest light as Yoshida-san did, and it is warm light. So if we go to the light properties, okay, while selecting the light, so you can see it is you can use temperature with kelvins, but I used color. So it is something that it is visual, so I can play with it and just change the hue and saturation to be toward yellow, toward orangish a little bit. So yeah, you can see it is toward yellow. And just played with the power and exposure. Both of them affect the brightness of the light. That's it. Just play with it until you find the correct numbers, okay? Both of them gives you a balanced result. So just play with them, don't overdo it. So you're not creating an overexposed area. If I play with the exposure, you can see it is overexposing. You can actually fix that if you go to the render properties here. There is this exposure in gamma. You can make sure that the sensor gets more light or less light. You can do that with the exposure in gamma. It is like playing with the ISO. I don't know if the camera in the camera settings do something similar, but you can actually play with the sensor size. But that's too technical and too advanced for a beginner or a mid range, okay, or a mid user, okay. So, anyways, going back here, and something that is really important is the spread. And in terms of lighting in 3D world, okay, you don't want to use very sharp lighting because that hurts humans' eyes. Yep. So look at that. If I make this really sharp, look at that. That's really sharp. That's not realistic at all. In real life, the light hits smooth a little bit. It's not sharp, but it's smooth. It's kind of smooth. Not too much, but yeah. If you go right now, go outdoor and see the sun, how sun do stuff like this in the middle of the day or something like this, it looks sharp, but it's not sharp. It's actually smooth. Yeah. So we are replicating the same idea by creating a small angle of the light. So we're creating a smoothness. So yeah, so this is really sharp. With YouTube compression and Patreon compression, it looks smoother, okay? So don't care about it, but it is going to be really sharp in the render because I'm going to use 4K and it's going to be sharp, razor sharp. So yeah, just increase the spread a little bit so you can see the effect. It is smoothing out. So you see the effect. It is smoothing out the light. So yeah. Anyways, just leave it as something that's really low, like 1.3, just to get it smoother, because later on we're going to add another light, which is the second light. And the second light is going to be the ambient light, where we are creating a smooth lighting. So it is actually a duplicate of the original area light here. So let's enable it, but with minor adjustments. One of them is power and exposure. So as you can see, it is adding up to the scene. I'm going to actually show you before render and after render, so you can see the difference. So it is adding a little bit. So as you can see, the power is less and exposure is 0, so it's nothing changed to the exposure. You can press backspace to reset any values. If I press backspace on the power, it's going to reset it. So you can see, yeah, 200 is enough for me. I don't want to overdo it because I will have more lights that's going to affect the scene. I don't want to destroy the feeling of the bright light in here, because it's illuminating this book called Mixed 3D. If you don't see it, Mixed 3D design, yeah. Anyways, and also the spread here, because this light is going to be smooth and I want it to be gradually moving. So if you see in this area, I'm going to disable it. Look, so it is kind of flat and black. Like, I want to fill up these areas. So boom, it is filled. Okay, you can actually increase the power. If you don't see it that much, you can increase it, but for me it looks good. It will look amazing. So the spread here playing a big role, because this area light is similar to the first area light, so they both have the same dimensions. So is they are going to be overlapping. I want to get rid of that overlap, so I'm going to increase the spread, which is going to make it really soft. And that's the core idea behind how we can any area light softer. Okay, now moving on to the third light, and the third light, you guessed it, is going to be around here. So let's enable it. It is area light, okay, as we explained earlier in the solid viewport. It is affecting that area, and if you can see, because we have volumetrics, it is contributing to volumetrics. You can actually disable any light to contribute to volumetrics by just going to the object data properties and go down here through the visibility. Is going to be like this. Enable that and go to ray visibility, and here you can turn off volume scatter, even though that you have volume principal PSCF, volume PSCF, yeah, or any volume shader. It doesn't matter. But yeah, just turn off or turn on. So you can see it is actually adding up to the scene, and I really like that. So I'm just leaving it as is. And let's go to the settings and see. So the color is a colder tone. As you can see, it's the word blue cyan, something like this. And also exposure and power, something that you personally can change and get right, okay? And the spread here also really soft, because I want it to spread up toward all of these areas here, because it's thinner in the shape. I didn't want it to affect the background images, because I have some images in the background that I'm going to show you later. But for now, I'm just leaving it like this. I really liked it, and it is really cool. Okay, so the spread is really high to make it really soft. Okay, anyways, I said okay too much, man. Anyways, so in here, I'm going to enable the second light, because this one is the same as this one. I just moved it toward this area. Why I did that? Look, with only the third light, we still kind of have some dark areas in here. I want to add some highlights to these books and also to the shelf itself. So just enable this. It is the same thing, only the exposure is changed here. Nothing changed. No color, no power, no spread, all the same. Just the exposure. I want it to be exposed a little bit, so it is adding some highlights. Okay, it is smooth, adding smooth highlights. So you can see here, because I have some depth of field, so you can see it is kind of blurry. So yeah, that's an artistic choice, by the way. As you can see, these highlights are super smooth, which is really amazing. Even though that there is like a really bright area here, I don't know. I need to fix this or just leave it. Yeah, no one will notice that, because it is in the background right there. But it is amazing. I really like that, and it is adding up to the scene. But still, some areas here needs to be filled. As you can see, some areas in here needs to be filled. So how to fill it? The spotlight comes in handy. So let's enable the spotlight. It is the similar to these colder colors or colder lights. It's similar, okay, and it is really soft as well. And to make it soft here, I use the beam shape. You can play with the blend. You can't go over one. It is the maximum here. You can't. Let's see if I can type something. Yeah, you can't. So you can't go over one. So the blend make it smooth. So the spotlight it will be smooth. So look at that. Look at the change at the change here, and look at that. So it is smooth. So right now it was sharp and it is affecting more areas than it should. Okay, and right now it looks good and it is smooth. And you can even make it more smoother by enable the soft fall off, and as well play with the radius. And the radius actually make the beam bigger, and light will spread more, and it's going to create that soft fall off and soft stuff. Yeah, the color right in here, it is towards cyan a little bit, not too much, just colder tone. You can actually make it a little bit saturated, but later in the compositing we're going to control that area more. Okay, so right now just make it subtle and controlled. The power and the exposure, just play with it. The exposure here is too much because it's spotlight. Spotlight works differently than the area lights. Spotlight needs more power, so it can produce more light. So keep that in mind. And that's it about lighting. So this is the lightings. So let's go back one by one. And actually, let's make it a full screen for you. Let's go one by one. World lighting. Yep, world lighting. First bright light, ambience light, the light in the top here, light in the corner, and the spotlight. Let's go in the inverse order. Spotlight, it is illuminating the area. The rim light, I'm going to say, the other rim light, and you can see what's doing. Right now it is really good. Actually, it is moody kind of. And there is this light, okay? It is illuminating the area. Now you can see it better actually. Yeah, the inverse order is good, and the very bright area, which is good. Right now, we don't have color grading, but the scene is balanced and good. Now we need to care about adding up to the scene. We want to level it up. So how we can do that? We are going to use compositing. And before we start doing compositing, we need something called passes. And passes is some additional data that Blender can give us. And one of them is the mist pass. Mist pass is like volumetrics, but it is not heavy as rendering volumetrics. It is fake volumetrics or faked mist or something like this. Faked fog, okay? Fog, mist, all are the same. So enable the mist pass and enable the normal pass. Normal pass gives you the normal direction of each face in the scene, but in the rendered viewport, which is really useful. And we're going to see why it's that useful. I do it a lot. If you watch my tutorials, watched my okay, I don't know what I'm saying. If you watched my courses and stuff like this, you know me that I use normals a lot because they generate free stuff. You'll see later. So anyways, and that's all. Just mist pass, normal pass, that's all. That's the core idea. You don't need to enable any of these passes for the lights. That's too advanced. Right now, let's switch to the compositor. Actually, I'm just going to turn this to solid viewport so it's not heavy on my machine. And actually, these passes, you need to generate them. How to generate them? Just create a quick render by clicking on F12, and that will create a render. And I already did that. So right now, I can actually go to the compositing tab so I can see that. Right now, if you just click on the viewer node here, just go to the image editor and click on this icon and search for viewer node. That will give you the ability to see anything that this viewer node sees. So if I click on it, look at that, it is generated the final render. But right now, I'm not going to see the final render because I want to see the composite first, how I did the compositing. So right now, I'm in the compositor. You can press Shift F3 to toggle between all of these modes until you find the compositor, or just click on here and find it. Right now, I'm going to show you what this mist pass do and how we can control it. If you see here, I'm going to enable the viewer node so you can see this is a mist pass. It looks like mist, looks like fog. It is a bit noisy. Don't care about this noise because it's not going to affect your scene by any means. So yeah, you can increase the render samples, but it's not going to be much difference. But anyways, look at that. This add matte node, after plugging the mist pass to the add matte node, we can change the placement of that mist. Okay, it is like kind of depth of field, so we can move it back and forward. So if I change this value, look at that. If I go back like this, it is going to disappear. If I go to the inverse way, it is going to be here. And you need to go into a balanced way, because I want to affect more of this area and less of this area. I want this to be blue and this area slightly, not too much. So how we can do that? I just place the fog or mist to be around this area, so you can see it is affecting more of this area, and converted this black and white mask into colored mask. So it is using more of a blue tone and black. So black, no effect, and blue, it is going to add that color. So to add the color, just add a mix color node. So this mix color node has many blending modes. So as you can see, I use screen and add works best by adding colors. You can actually add color, but color blending mode will make your render darker. You'll see that right now. So let's view this. Actually click on this. I don't know what's happening with this Blender version, but anyway. So you can see here. So this is before. I don't know if it is working or not. Yeah, so this is before and this is after. You can see, yeah, there is already. I'm going to show you in the video so you can see before and after. After, yeah, so just set it to screen and leave it as this. And the color here makes it darker. So you can see it is really dark and not usable at all. So Control Z, boom, we're good. After that, I generated some outlines. Yeah, I told you about the normal pass. So the normal pass actually gives you the angle of each face. So let's see the normal pass, what it's doing. Let's click on this. I don't know what it's doing. So it is telling you the normal of each face, and also it is actually affecting the shader because I have a normal map here. So look at that. That's good. Now based on this mask, I can create outlines. So how we can create outlines? We're going to use filter node. This filter node has many modes. Okay, one of them is this Briwet or something like this. Sobel, Laplace. All of them are good. Look at that. All of them are so similar. You can use any of them. I use this mode here, and I want to turn it from this colorful mask into a black and white. So I use map range. You can use color ramp, you can use whatever, but I liked map range because it's going to map from a range to another range. So 1 to 0 is going to be the inverse of 0 to 1. So 0 to 1, it's like white to black or something like this. So I want black to white. So I did that. So let's see the result. Look at that. And by moving this from min and from max, I can limit the selection to a certain area. For example, this area in here, and that created that outlines or these black stuff here, which is really good. And I want to add this black stuff to the render without affecting the image. So I want just the black stuff to be seen, and the white is going to disappear. So I used multiply. If you don't know about blending modes, you need to search about them. There is many videos. I did actually some videos talking about blending modes. So just use multiply. And as you can see here, let's see before and after. So this is before, this is after. You can see it's already darkening some areas, and that's pretty useful. After that, I forgot. There is a factor that you can make the multiply stronger or less strong. So if you can, as you can see, if you make it a 1, it's going to be really, really strong and not good. So lower it down. 0.5 is actually still strong, but not that strong. So I liked it like this way. But as you can see right now, this scene looks really sharp, and I want it to be softer a little bit, and at the same time to be stylized, brushy, stuff like this. So Kawahara node comes in handy. The Kawahara node is a filter that makes any scene looks painterly. So yeah, just make it painterly. Instead of using regular values, just playing with the scale, I want these pixels because Kawahara node distort pixels. If you see in the in any image, you see some squares, and these squares are the pixels. The Kawahara node actually make the pixels wobbly like this instead of straight. And I want it more wobbly or more squished and stuff like this. So I use the noise texture, and the noise texture is generating a pattern. Let me see the pattern here. So this is the pattern, okay? I just played with the noise texture so I can squeeze it like vertically, just adding an image coordinate, plug in the original render. So it is creating like an X and Y coordinates, like UV map with this image coordinate. Plug the uniform to a multiply vector mat node, set it to multiply, by the way, and just replicate these values or play with them so you can squeeze it around the X or around the Y, however you want. And the size, create or actually control the size of these straps or anyways. After that, I added that through a multiply because right now the range here is just from 0 to 1. So these gray values is actually zero point 0.6 as you can see, and this one is 0.7. So they're not going that hard because the Quahara node requires really high numbers. So as you can see, 2 is not that much, so we need more than that. I want more. By default it sets to 6, so I want more than 6. So I multiplied these values by this value 12. You can multiply by any value, so you can add more that brushiness to the Quahara node. And that's the result. Let me just render it for you guys, delete this. So you can see, I don't know if you see that better. So this is before, yeah, you can see. And this is after, yeah, that's amazing. That's really amazing. After that comes in the glare node. And the glare node here is adding bloom. And as you can see, it sets to bloom. I need to set it to high quality because I'm using my GPU. Yeah, I'm using my GPU. If you go to the options, enable your GPU as the renderer for the compositing. So I'm adding bloom to these bright areas. So any bright area is going to be affected. So let's see the mask. So it is affecting these areas and adding bloom to them. So it's like isolating these bright areas and adding blur, and that creates that blooming. So if you make the threshold lower, it is going to affect more areas, and if you make it really high, it's not going to affect as much as low. Yeah. And the smoothness, make it smooth or less smooth. So I recommend go in middle like this. Don't overdo it. And that's all about glare node. Now we need to go to the really important part, which is color balance. Here we're going to shift the look of the scene with colors. And I want to mention that the color balance is really sensitive. It is really, really sensitive. Making small adjustment to a value will affect the scene by a lot. So look at that. In here, you see that this left, gamma, and gain, all of them, like, they seems to be white, but they're not white. Why? Look at that. So this is the final look after the color balance. So this is before. Let me see the before, and this is the after. Look at that. How the heck is that happening? Even though that these are white, no, they are not white. So if you don't know what this left, gamma, and gain does, left is basically the darker areas in the image, and the gamma is the brighter areas in the image, and the gain is the overall brightness of the image. That's all. That's all you need to learn. It is more complicated than that, but this is the basics. Okay. I want the darker areas to match up this blue tint. So I want in dark areas to be blue. So let's add blue. Just select the left here, and as you can see, and just change toward any hue that you like, and after that make the saturation really, really small, because if you overdo it, look at that, it is kind of destroying your scene. So make sure to just do it a little bit, a little bit. So now I just played with the darker areas. Now I want to go to this area. I want it to be warm like my reference image. I want it to be warmer. So to do that, just go to the gamma here and make it toward yellow. Yeah, toward yellow. So as you can see, it is toward yellow. Don't overdo it as well. Just go 0.0 something, just a small value. Hue doesn't matter, because if you just change the hue, it is just changing which color that you're using. But the actual thing that actually matters is the saturation. So if you change it a lot, it's going to destroy your image. So keep that in mind. The value here, it is the brightness. You can make the color value bigger or smaller, like brighter or darker. Yeah, and you can do the same with the values in here, these values. And after that is gain, the overall mood of the scene. I want it to be warm because, yeah, this is the overall tone, even though that there is the blue tint here and here, but the overall image tone is going to be warm. And that's what I did. After that comes in chromatic aberration. These chromatic aberration and vignette is something additional. So you can add it or not, but for me, I just added that in the areas right in here, in the edges. So as you can see, it is kind of creating that chromatic aberration. It is a subtle thing, just the default values and right in here. which is amazing, and vignette. Vignette is a darkening these edges. As you can see, it is darkening these edges more. You can do the inverse, make it brighter. I didn't like that, so I just did it to be dark. And that's all about how we can do compositing. Yeah, I hope you guys learned something from this video. It is really simple. If you want more advanced stuff about lighting and things like this, just let me know in the comments, and like this video, share it with your friends. And in the next video, I'm going to show you a special technique to create anime style indoor environments, which is really cool technique. I used it a lot when some client, actually some studios, reached out to me. We need an environment, an anime environment, and we want it to be less intensive on our machines because they render something. If they lose a single second when they're rendering, they lost thousands and thousands of dollars. So how we can do that, I'm going to show you that in the next video. 皆さん、ありがとうございます。And またね。